Hey guys, Kevin Yates here. So got a question from a reader of the blog, and this one is about knee pain, lunges, knee pain. It's a common issue, so just wanted to do my best to see if I can answer the question here. So this one is from Stacy, who says, in the last week I developed chronic pain just above my kneecaps. I just recovered from a back injury on the right side, and this is where the pain is mainly in the right knee. So she talks about having started an intense workout program that requires a lot of lunges and then the knee injury. So basically, she knows she's compensating somewhere. She's asking, how can I stretch or train better to recover from this pain and proceed with the workout program? Basically, what we're looking at here, you know, when you say that there's a lot of lunges in there, and there's, I think something here says you're working out 6 days a week, so 3 days resistance, 3 days cardio. You know, if there's, I don't know how much lunging is in there. The one thing that's kind of striking me is, you know, where you're describing the pain first and foremost. So above the kneecap, typically sounds like an issue with like a patellar tendon type issue, which is usually an overuse of the quads. So, you know, if you're doing a lot of squatting, a lot of lunging, a lot of kind of quad dominant work, that can happen. Again, depending how much you're doing them. So if you're doing a lot of lunges, one of the issues I would look at is recovery. So, you know, with so much training, you know, even though you're doing resistance training and cardio on separate days, you got to look at kind of the total effect of it, right? So even though you're doing cardio, you know, you're still working lower body. When you're working cardio, it tends to be like repetitive. So I don't know what you're doing exactly, but like, you know, if you're doing just like running, walking, treadmill, whatever, it's very repetitive. And the more often we do it, the longer we do it, it's like when we do this, we get locked into the same movement patterns. So the same movement patterns means that we're moving the same way, we're using the same type of muscles, and when we're doing it over and over and over, it starts to become, you know, more related to like repetitive stress issues, okay? If you couple that with doing a lot of lunges, that can increase the problem. Now, depending on what you're doing with lunges, I mean, if you're doing the same type of lunging, like if you're always doing the same, you know, like walking lunges, or you're always doing like static, like in-place lunges, if it's the same type of pattern where we're going like forward, or, you know, we're just standing in this one spot, it's the same thing. You're just using the same muscles over and over, same movement patterns, and again, it creates an imbalance in the body, or imbalances in the body, where it starts to increase wear and tear on joints, muscles, tendons, and ligaments. So the best bet that we can do, one thing you could do, you got options here. Now, again, I don't know a lot about what's going on, so I'm just doing my best to kind of give you some ideas. But basically, if you look at lunges, right, think of moving in different directions, right? So our bodies are designed to move in multiple directions, not to be locked into one type of movement. So if we think about, instead of, you know, just forward type of lunging, we can do things like lateral lunging, right? We can do, you know, backward lunge walks. You can do transverse, like, you know, rotational type lunge patterns. You can change it up into, instead of just lunging, you could get up and do step-ups on a box, right? There's different type of single leg patterns. Side squats, right? Side to side and squatting. Those are other options. The other thing I would look at is adding some more squatting versus just lunging in there. So, you know, balancing things out, maybe squatting, maybe some deadlifting, to get out of the quads so much and to start getting some activity through the glutes and the hamstrings, where you're doing like lower body pulling type movements. Again, you know, step-ups can help with that a little bit. You know, sumo type deadlifts are really good for activating the hips and hamstrings as well. So those are some options that you have. Now, if you've got some, you know, like lack of mobility through the knee joint, and potentially the hip joint and extensions. So, you know, when your hips extending back, when you're bending the knee, if you have like tight hip flexors or quadriceps, that's what that would mean basically. So that's going to affect your ability to move, right? To move properly. That's going to affect your ability to activate your glutes and hamstrings that you need to balance out the body. So you might want to, in that case, if that's a problem, do some foam rolling, right? Roll out the quads, you know, even roll out like IT band, just, you know, get it all rolled out really good. Spend a good, you know, 1-2 minutes each side. Do a couple of sets of that on each side. Really get those areas rolled out, and then do some type of stretching static stretching, and then maybe into some active type stretching pre-workout. So again, that's only if tightness is an issue. So what that'll do, that'll open your body up and enhance your mobility so that when you are doing your workout, you have the ability to move properly. So what happens when things become problematic, if we get tight, if we have pain, we start to compensate, we start to change the way that we move, and what that does is it starts to reduce the effectiveness of our workouts because we're not able to train properly, we're not moving properly, we're not activating the right muscles, and the fewer options that you have to move, it's like having this whole menu of movement options, and little by little they get taken away, and they get narrowed down, narrow. And so when we have less and less options in which to move, we start increasing wear and tear on the body, and it happens fast, right? Because we start getting locked into very few movement patterns. And our body's designed to be able to move in different planes of motion, right? So try those out. Let me know how that goes, and I hope that this at least just gives you a starting point in the right direction. All right, so you guys out there, if you have any more questions for me, injury questions, strength questions, dealing with muscle imbalances, performance type issues, athleticism type issues, whatever it is, post them, let me hear about it, and I will do my best to do another video down the road and see if I can answer your questions. All right, until the next time, you guys take care.